Everyone. This is a collection of my thoughts related to quality physical education through the unforeseen extended school closures that many of us are currently experiencing. My name is Chad Killian. I'm an assistant professor for kinesiology and health at Georgia State University. I'm kind of new to this whole social media experience, I guess. So just want to put it out there who I am. I taught physical education for 5 years in Pennsylvania. Have a master's in curriculum instruction, a PhD in kinesiology from the University of Illinois, where I studied the use of online instruction in physical education. Quality physical education matters to me a lot. I take it very seriously. I'm very passionate about it. And that's part of the reason why I chose to study online physical education. We're seeing this pattern where more and more students are engaging in it, more and more schools are offering it, and we can't ignore it as a viable option. So I like studying it. But the current context kind of creates a perfect storm of conversation for our field in particular. We're in the midst of this unforeseen, unexpected global pandemic um, that's resulted in mass school closure, at least here in the United States. That has a lot of implications, not to mention health and real life implications. But from where I'm coming from, the practical, the research, the scholarly implications of all this. So it's a pretty fascinating experience to observe, to be a part of, and to think about. And so this process, in part for me, is just kind of collecting my thoughts as it relates to what I'm currently experiencing and what a lot of you are currently experiencing. But we're talking about physical education and K to 12 in particular, and mass school closures, some of which may have been planned and progressively implemented, some of which may have come um, out of nowhere. We had schools in Atlanta that closed in the middle of the day out of nowhere. So what does that mean for students? Think about what it would be like if you were 7, 8 in elementary school, 15, 16 in high school. I imagine they're pretty excited that they get to leave school early. I imagine students are excited for snow days, but then at the same time, when they realize that it's because of sort of an unpredictable virus that's causing a lot of disruption to a lot of people, that might create a lot of anxiety. It might create a lot of uncertainty. And over time, it might create sort of feelings of isolation if they're not allowed to see their friends. So there's a lot going on with the students. Then we think about what does that mean for physical education teachers? Probably a lot of the same. There's a lot of uncertainty, probably concern for family, friends, students, children if you have them, pets even. So we have the sort of the personal response to it, but also this added professional responsibility that requires a rapid response and a rapid transition into teaching with digital or online instruction, which may or may not be something that vibes with personal PE philosophies. Nevertheless, people are thrown into this situation. So there's a lot going on here, and I can understand it. One of the challenges is that we as a field, particularly in academia, have had a historical reluctance towards pursuing research in this area. Um, Sort of from an observational standpoint, from conversations I've been a part of and things that I've read, there's a lot of people think that online sort of violates sort of the foundational purpose of physical education um, for a variety of reasons. Um, Regardless of why people haven't really approached research in this area, we're left without a credible evidence base for best practice when we need it most. So this is sort of the outcome of that ignorance, so to speak. So we're left with sort of playing it by ear. We're left with sort of relying on our social network of others who may have tried it and been successful, but here we are. And when we kind of talk about when we talk about online physical education and physical education more broadly, we focus on the purpose. And the purpose is for us to provide enjoyable, developmentally appropriate movement-based opportunities with the ultimate goal of helping students develop the competence and confidence necessary for lifelong physical activity. The question then becomes, where we're at right now, is can we as teachers, or can you as physical educators, promote student engagement in enjoyable, developmentally appropriate activities using online methods? The question is answered, yeah, we have to, whether we want to or not, because that's what we're left with. And we have to believe that we can deliver quality content, promote enriching physical activity. The evidence will come. It may be that it can. It may be that it's the worst thing ever. And that will have to be okay either way. But until we get there, we have to believe that it can and it is possible. Once we sort of take that step, we have to realize that online physical education generally in a regular school setting, in a regular virtual school setting, is different than face to face. There's different accessibility, there's different surveillance methods, there's different accountability methods, different instructional, different social support. Everything is different. Still physical education, but it's a lot different than face to face. The next step from that, I think we need to acknowledge that online physical education during a pandemic is different than online physical education during the regular school day. There's a lot more layers there. There's a lot less preparation. There's a lot less professional development, if any. And so we need to acknowledge that this is a very, very unique situation, and sort of tune our expectations accordingly. The purpose matters. We need to maintain the purpose of physical education, but we need to acknowledge the focus might be different and then adjust accordingly. So as we find ourselves in this situation, a question I'm asking students, a question I'm asking teachers that I'm talking to is, what's your expectation? Are you expecting to maintain a regular physical education, daily PE, daily learning, daily assessment, daily instructional objectives, daily skill test, whatever it is? I think we need to acknowledge the snow day effect. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it seems to make sense to me. Kids got off of school for a long time now. They have weeks of school that's been canceled. So they're probably feeling pretty excited. They're excited to catch up on Netflix. They're excited to engage in their video games. They're excited to catch up on relaxing or their sleep or whatever it is. And that's exciting. That can be exciting. Should be exciting for them. So first of all, we need to acknowledge the snow day effect or the pandemic effect, for a different way of putting it. Next thing that's kind of going through my mind is, like, what's your experience and your students' experience with learning and physical education, online learning and physical education? Most teachers, I'm guessing, don't have a whole lot of experience, and now you're kind of put in this situation where you have to adapt. In the same way, students aren't used to learning a whole lot in physical education, just to speak frankly. So you're adding two layers to this. Students are now expected to engage in learning, explicit learning activities online for a course that they're not used to learning. They might not have had any experience learning online, period, let alone in a content area that they didn't really find a whole lot of enrichment beyond physical activity. So we need to be able to recognize those 2 points of friction, before we move forward. The next thing that we need to sort of think about is physical education going to be an explicit concern for anyone really during this time? With mom and dad might be sick, grandparents might be sick, people might not be working, financial stress as a result of that. Classroom teachers are at the same time putting on responsibilities. Got to deal with sort of a chaotic household. I'm not sure that we can reasonably expect physical education to be an explicit concern for a lot of students. Doesn't mean it's not possible to deliver quality content. We can use these realities to tune our focus, to tune our purpose, tune our approach, and leverage it for the benefit of our students and our teaching. And so what should be the purpose then of quality physical education during this unforeseen extended school closure? I think this is relevant beyond the coronavirus. If this happens again, I think the same principles apply, but we have a highly stressful situation for a lot of students and a lot of teachers that requires a highly stressful response of developing online content and learning through online content. We have that sort of matched with a lot of freedom, a lot of unstructured time at home or wherever. Um, and so, what does that mean for us? We still value our profession. We still know it can be important. I think that the focus or the adjusted purpose away from sort of the purity stance of skills, MVPA, health related fitness knowledge, and all that can focus in, can hone in, and should first of all address a reduction in sedentary behavior. We need to promote a reduction in sedentary behavior. And that kind of seems obvious, but it's like students are staying at home. The reality is a lot of students will sleep in. They're gonna watch Netflix a lot. They're gonna catch up on their shows. They're gonna text with their friends that they're not able to see. They're going to, um, on their video game consoles. So sedentary behavior is probably increased even more so because they're not in the context that promotes physical activity for them most of the day. There's not walking between classes. There's not walking from the parking lot or the bus. There's not walking. There's not PE class. There's a lot of that sort of built-in physical activity is gone. As a result of that, we need to be intentional about promoting a reduction in sedentary behavior. So if we can kind of predict what a lot of our students are doing, not everyone, there are active students, there are kids that like to be active that will get together with their friends, etc. But the vast majority of students are going to be sitting around, and teachers for that matter, will be sitting around on their computers almost all day. Key focus, a key purpose needs to be reducing sedentary behavior. An extension of that is we need to be able to promote enjoyable physical activity that can be integrated at home. That's obvious. What are some creative ideas? What are some things that we can do? And what does that look like in the context of reducing sedentary behavior? It's saying, hey, watch your favorite show. I'm watching mine, but get up and try to do 3 minutes of jumping jacks or 3 minutes of push-ups or 3 minutes of arm circles or something. Within that context, students can relate. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna watch 12 episodes that are 30 minutes. If I do 3 minutes between each one of those, that's almost 40 minutes of physical activity. That's not a bad day. I mean, that's what we expect in physical education. So when we predict what the students are going to be doing at home, we can tune our physical activity challenges, whatever they are, physical activity requirements, to that reality. In addition to providing uh, uh, extension challenges to students who might be more advanced or less advanced. I think that the instruction that we provide online, whether it's through sort of this idea of knowledge brokering, finding YouTube videos, finding CDC articles on physical activity, referencing the National Physical Activity Plan, whatever it is, needs to be sequential and engaging and useful. I feel like from what I'm observing, it's going to be like sort of this chaotic, just bunching together of instruction. Oh, let's talk about nutrition. Let's talk about sleep. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all this. It's like, I mean, that's helpful, but if there can be a sequence, if it could be engaging, if it's useful in the context of sitting at home for an entire month, then students can find a little bit more relationship in my mind. You're gonna have to work from experience. This is all sort of just stream of consciousness ideas, but that's sort of where my mind's going. If I was in that situation as a PE teacher, that's kind of how I'd be thinking. And then I really think that it's our job to demonstrate as teachers the joy of integrated daily physical activity engagement. I don't know how it could work with your learning management system or your social media presence or your relationship with your students, but I see a lot of potential for you as a teacher, for us as teachers to be in this together with our students. It's like, yeah, it's really fun for about 3 days and be like, man, I miss my friends. Man, I miss my coworkers. Man, I miss the smell of the gym. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm in this with you. I could see like taking video. I got my road bike set up to the trainer right beside me. I'm like, man, that'd be cool to just like send a video. Guys and girls, I'm working out today. Hopefully you found a time. Get on your parents' treadmill or go out to the park, whatever it is. Be in it together with them, I think could be a powerful way to build relationships, but also show the students that you're making efforts in a challenging situation to maintain your own physical activity as a PE teacher. So, just brainstorming ideas. What could your instruction look like? I think that it should be weekly focused instructional models. I think you should give a week where there's a brief high impact instructional component, quick little assessment to ensure that students engage with that video or that content. You should challenge students to be physically active with a variety of different challenges they can do at home or different goals depending on the age group. And I think there should be positive and encouraging communication, whether it's through email, whether that's through social media, whether that's through your learning management system, synchronous or asynchronous instructional time. But if you can maintain some sort of presence with your students to show that you're in this with them, I think that would be very positive for them as well. And I think maintaining that positive, encouraging communication also models resilience. I think it models steadiness and it models physical activity engagement. We need to be stable role models for our students, even though we're probably, a lot of people might be nervous, especially if they or their family members or people they know start getting sick or start experiencing some of the outcomes as a result of this unprecedented experience. So no matter how we're feeling inside, I think that important thing for us to do during this time is to present a stable, confident, steady, reassuring presence with our students. This is just just some ideas that I've had about what optimal instruction could look like, and it obviously has to be adapted for different grade levels and so forth. But generally speaking, this kind of structure I think is would be most useful. So some possible module topics. Okay, the content that's in these would obviously be different depending on the age group, but I think these questions might be interesting, and this might be a good time to address some of these things. If you think of a regular PE class, there's not a whole lot of time. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking and providing sort of large group instruction. We want kids to be moving, we want them to be active, we want to be able to provide them feedback. That creates a lot of friction with this high level of movement that we value in our classes, because a lot of times we don't have the time to be able to give the instruction that we want, especially as it relates to more conceptual understandings. So this is a prime time to address some of those questions, to address some of that content, if you think it would be valuable for your students. But these are just some questions I think would be valuable to answer, could be valuable to answer depending on the content that you provide. But at the end of the day, we're going to see how this works out. We're kind of at the beginning level of it, but I just encourage people to keep an open mind. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do what works best for you and what works best for your students. But I challenge you to put some thought into this, to take the leap, to do something that works for you and your comfort level as a teacher and your experience with technology. Reach out to resources, tap into the network. I would encourage people with prominent voices to help others explicitly and genuinely for the value of their field and not just for promotion of the self, because this is an opportunity to display quality physical education to the community. Your content's going to be out there on computers, and parents might see it, guardians will see it, siblings might see it, and so we can really demonstrate to a lot of people the quality of the content that we can provide. So despite all this craziness, despite all the potential negative, I think that if we approach it from a professional standpoint, this could be a time where we can advocate for ourselves in ways that we didn't expect, or maybe a lot of people didn't even want to. But if we look at the positive, I think we'll all get out of this on a good foot, and this could take our field to a more positive view for a lot of people. So good luck, everyone. These are just my thoughts. Like I said, love to hear your feedback, or not, but I'm going to keep thinking about all this and anxious to hear what other people think as well.